idioms, slang, all those little phrases you hear every day,
Right.
but might not truly grasp.
It is a treasure trove, isn't it? What I find particularly interesting is that it's not just about the words themselves.
Yeah.
These phrases reveal a lot about our culture, how we connect, and
Yeah.
even the humor we find in everyday situations.
Okay, so first off, 800 phrases. That's wild. It really hit me how much we rely on these pre-packaged bits of language, almost like shortcuts to express ourselves.
Yeah.
But it's not just the sheer number.
Yeah.
The video also repeats phrases multiple times.
Right.
Is that some kind of language learning trick?
It is. Repetition is key in language acquisition.
Okay.
Think of it like practicing a musical scale. You repeat it over and over to build muscle memory.
Ah.
In this case, it's language memory,
Yeah.
helping these phrases become second nature in conversation.
So it's like drilling those phrases into your brain.
Exactly.
But what stood out to me even more than the repetition was how these phrases grouped together.
Yeah.
Almost like they were forming little toolkits for different conversational situations.
Exactly. You've got clusters focused on everyday life, like, it's my first time, what's done is done, long time no see. These aren't just practical. They're social lubricants easing us into casual interactions.
Right.
Then you've got phrases centered on feelings and opinions. I have feelings for you. That's catchy. I can relate to that.
Yeah.
These go beyond a basic communication. They allow for more nuanced self-expression, crucial for building deeper connections.
Right. And you can't forget about those phrases that are all about action and requests.
Yeah.
Can I get a coffee? Put your number in my phone. Let me bring you up to speed.
Right.
I hadn't thought about it before, but we use these constantly to navigate the world around us, almost like verbal cues to get things done.
They're transactional, but also inherently social. Yeah. Think about, can I get a coffee? It's a simple request,
Right.
but it implies a shared understanding of social norms, politeness,
Oh, yeah.
and even a bit of cultural ritual around coffee shops.
Now that you mention it, it's pretty fascinating. And then there's the humor category. You hangry? I couldn't dance to save my life. Curiosity killed the cat. I wonder if humor is universal or if these phrases would fall flat in other cultures.
That's a great point. Humor is notoriously difficult to translate both literally and culturally.
Yeah.
What we find funny often relies on shared understanding references and even a tolerance for certain types of wordplay.
So maybe laughing at curiosity killed the cat
Yeah.
is a uniquely English-speaking thing.
Quite possibly.
Yeah.
It's a phrase that uses imagery and a bit of dark humor to convey a cautionary message. That blend might not resonate in cultures with different approaches to humor or animal symbolism.
This is making me look at these phrases in a whole new light. It's not just about learning the words, it's about understanding the cultural context they carry.
Exactly. And that's where things get really interesting.
Yeah.
For example, take a phrase like, over my dead body, spill the beans, or even bite the bullet. These aren't just expressions, they're mini stories, each with potential origins and evolutions in meaning.
You're right. Like, over my dead body is so intense. It's not just saying no. It's almost like a declaration of war.
It is, and the imagery is so powerful.
Yeah.
It conjures up this idea of someone literally putting their life on the line to protect something.
Oh, wow.
It's a phrase that likely has roots in ancient cultures where oaths and challenges were a matter of life and death.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm curious about spill the beans.
Yeah.
It's such a playful way to ask for secrets. Do beans really have anything to do with it?
There are a few theories, actually.
Okay.
One suggests it might connect to ancient voting systems, where beans were used as ballots.
Oh, really?
Spilling the beans could have meant revealing election results before they were official. Another theory links it to knocking over a pot of beans, which creates a mess and reveals what was hidden inside.
That's so cool. I never would have guessed those origins.
Yeah.
Okay, last one. Bite the bullet.
Okay.
That one always makes me think of something tough to endure.
Well, you're not wrong. This phrase actually has a gruesome historical connection.
Oh.
Before anesthesia was common, people undergoing surgery, often soldiers would literally bite down on a bullet to cope with the pain.
Ouch. That definitely puts a new spin on grit.
It does.
So it's come to mean facing something unpleasant head on, drawing on that historical image of resilience.
Exactly.
This is blowing my mind. We're not just learning phrases, we're uncovering hidden histories and cultural connections.
Yeah, it is fascinating.
Okay, so we've talked about the sheer volume of phrases, their thematic groupings, and even their intriguing origins.
Right.
But what about the potential for misinterpretations?
Ah, yes. That's where cultural nuances and the subtleties of language come into play. Even a simple phrase like, you feel me, which seems straightforward, could be tricky for a non-native speaker.
Oh, totally. I can see how someone might interpret that as aggressive, like you're demanding empathy instead of requesting it.
Precisely. It's intended to build connection, but the tone is crucial.
Yeah.
It's often used among close friends where that level of directness is understood.
Yeah.
To someone unfamiliar with the slang, it might feel like a confrontation.
And then there's what's your type?
Oh, yeah.
I can imagine that throwing people off.
Definitely. It can be about personality, but often it's about romantic preferences, which can feel very forward in certain cultures where dating is approached more indirectly.
Oh, for sure. And what about don't judge a book by its cover? It's great advice, but we do judge by appearances all the time, right?
We do. It's human nature.
Yeah.
Our brains are wired to make quick assessments based on visual cues.
Right.
The phrase is more aspirational, urging us to be more open-minded, even if we don't always succeed.
It's like a reminder to dig deeper and not just rely on surface impressions.
Exactly.
So, knowing all this, how can our listeners actually use this knowledge in their own lives?
Think about the different settings you navigate work, school, social events.
Mm-hmm.
In a professional environment, phrases like, let's get down to business, keep me in the loop, and we're on the same page can project confidence and clarity.
Yeah.
They signal that you're focused and understand the professional context.
And in social situations, I'm thinking phrases like, I'm down, it's not the end of the world, let's hit the road, can make you sound more relaxed and natural.
Exactly. And when it comes to expressing yourself authentically, phrases like, I'm torn, I'm not cut out for this, or it slipped my mind, allow you to convey emotions without being overly dramatic or revealing.
Right.
It's about finding the right tool for the job, so to speak.
It's like having a secret code to unlock fluency and connection.
Okay.
We've covered a lot, but there's one more category of phrases I want to explore.
Okay.
Those related to requests and actions.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of phrases like, can I get a coffee? Put your number in my phone, and let me bring you up to speed.
Mm-hmm.
They seem straightforward, but there's a certain art to using them effectively.
Absolutely. They're direct yet polite, and they get the point across efficiently. Can I get a coffee is a perfect example.
Yeah.
It's a simple request, but it's so ubiquitous in our culture, almost like a social ritual.
It's true. And put your number in my phone is a smooth way to suggest further contact without being too forward.
Exactly. It's an invitation, but it leaves the other person in control.
Yeah.
And let me bring you up to speed is a great way to offer information or context to someone who might be out of the loop.
Mm-hmm.
It shows initiative and consideration.
I like that.
Yeah.
It's like saying, I've got you covered. Now, you mentioned there are over 800 phrases in this video.
Right.
Which is a lot to digest.
Yeah.
So maybe we can focus on a few more that are particularly useful or intriguing.
I agree. How about we dive into phrases that deal with advice, caution, and managing expectations? These are valuable tools for navigating the complexities of life.
Sounds good to me. Let's unpack some of those linguistic gems and see what insights we can uncover.
All right, let's do it. Welcome back. We've been digging into those everyday English phrases.
Right.
The ones that make conversations flow and add layers of meaning beyond the dictionary definitions.
And I'm already feeling like I'm seeing language with fresh eyes.
Yeah.
It's not just about the words.
Yeah.
It's the cultural baggage they carry.
Right.
The unspoken rules they reveal. It's fascinating.
Exactly. And I think our listeners are ready for some more aha moments.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So let's dive back in. How about we explore those phrases that help us navigate tricky situations, express feelings in a more subtle way, and even offer a bit of encouragement when we need it most.
Okay. All for that. Those are the phrases we all need in our conversational arsenal, ready to deploy when things get a little messy. So let's start with those awkward or difficult situations. Right. I'm thinking of phrases like, it is what it is, let's call it even, and all is forgiven.
Yeah.
They seem to acknowledge a less than ideal reality, but also
hint at a willingness to move forward.
Okay.
It is what it is a great example. It's acknowledging a situation that maybe isn't ideal.
Yeah.
But it's also a nudge towards acceptance. It's like saying, okay, this is the hand we've been dealt, so let's focus on what we can control.
I see what you mean. It's not about dwelling on the negative. It's about shifting your perspective.
Yeah.
To find a solution or at least a path forward, and let's call it even, feels like it has a similar vibe. It's about reaching a compromise, even if it means swallowing your pride a bit.
Exactly. It's a way to smooth over conflict, even if it means letting go of something you might have been holding on to.
Right.
It's a reminder that harmony and forward momentum sometimes require concessions.
And all is forgiven is like the ultimate act of letting go, isn't it? It feels weighty, almost spiritual in a way.
It is. Forgiveness is complex.
Yeah.
And this phrase captures that beautifully. It's not just about saying the words. It's about genuinely releasing resentment, and choosing to rebuild it takes strength to truly forgive. And this phrase acknowledges that effort.
Yeah. Wow, that's deep. Okay, let's shift gears a bit and talk about those phrases that help us express feelings in a more indirect way. I'm thinking of phrases like, I'm torn, it slipped my mind, and I'm not cut out for this. They feel like ways to communicate something tricky without being too blunt.
They're all about subtlety and nuance. I'm torn is a great example. It suggests you're wrestling with a decision, weighing options.
Right.
But you're not ready to divulge all the details. It allows for vulnerability without oversharing.
Right. It's like saying, I'm in a complex emotional space without having to lay out all the messy bits.
Exactly.
And it slipped my mind. It's a classic for explaining a forgetfulness.
Oh, yeah.
It's gentler than just saying, I forgot, right?
Definitely. It softens the blow, making it sound less like carelessness and more like a simple oversight. We've all been there, so it tacks into that shared human experience of having too much on our minds.
It can even be used for comedic effect, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Like, oh, it totally slipped my mind that I promised to bake 3 dozen cookies for the school fundraiser.
Exactly. It can add a layer of self-deprecating humor, making you seem more relatable.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not cut out for this is another interesting one. It hints at self-doubt, acknowledging a mismatch between your skills and the task at hand.
And it can be a way to subtly ask for help, right?
Absolutely.
Like, I'm not cut out for public speaking. Maybe someone else could take the lead on this presentation.
It's a clever way to signal your need without directly relying on the listener to pick up on the cue. It's all about reading between the lines.
Speaking of reading between the lines, what about those phrases that offer encouragement, but maybe not in a super obvious way?
Yeah.
Think of phrases like, keep it up, you got this, and you're doing great.
These are the verbal pats on the back.
Yeah.
Little boosts of confidence that can mean so much. Yeah. Especially when you're feeling unsure. Keep it up is simple but effective. It acknowledges effort and encourages perseverance, signaling that you're on the right track.
It's perfect for kids, too, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Like, wow, you're really getting the hang of riding your bike. Keep it up.
It's positive reinforcement without being overbearing now. You got this is more informal, but it carries a sense of deep belief in someone's abilities. It's like saying, I have faith in you, even if you're doubting yourself.
It's a confidence booster, for sure. And you're doing great is all about acknowledging progress, celebrating those small wins along the way.
It's a powerful motivator, especially when someone is feeling discouraged. It highlights their accomplishments and helps them focus on the positive.
It's like saying, look how far you've come. Okay, let's shift gears again, maybe to something a bit more assertive.
Okay.
I'm thinking of those phrases we use when we need to set boundaries and express frustration or deal with a difficult situation. Phrases like, enough is enough, don't mess with me, and give me a break.
These are definitely phrases that pack a punch. They convey a sense of firmness, a willingness to stand up for yourself.
Yeah.
Enough is enough is a declaration, a clear signal that you're drawing a line in the sand.
It's like saying, I'm not tolerating this anymore. But it's important to use it carefully, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It should be reserved for situations where you're genuinely feeling mistreated or overwhelmed.
Yeah.
It's not about being aggressive. It's about asserting your needs and limits.
Don't mess with me is even more intense, isn't it? It feels almost threatening.
It can be. It's a warning, a way to establish boundaries and protect yourself from harm or disrespect. It's often used in situations where someone is pushing your buttons or testing your limits.
It's like saying, I'm not someone to be trifled with. Now, give me a break feels more versatile.
Yeah.
It can be used for exasperation, like when you're at your wit's end, but also...
It can be a plea for a moment of respite, a time out from a demanding situation.
Oh, yeah.
Like, give me a break. I've been staring at a spreadsheet for hours and my brain is fried.
Exactly. It's a way to signal that you need a moment to regroup and recharge. Okay, I'm noticing a theme here. A lot of these phrases are about navigating those tricky social spaces.
Right.
Maintaining harmony and expressing ourselves effectively. What about those phrases that are specifically about social graces and etiquette?
Ah, yes. The phrases that oil the wheels of social interaction, ensuring things run smoothly, thank you for noticing, is a perfect example. It's a graceful way to acknowledge a compliment or a kind gesture.
It shows that you appreciate the thought behind it, that you're
Yeah.
paying attention to those little details that make someone feel seen. It's a lovely phrase and it never gets old.
And then there's "Where are my manners?", which is a charming way to apologize for a social blunder.
Oh, yeah?
It's self-deprecating, which can diffuse awkwardness and make you seem more relatable.
And it can be used humorously, too.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, where are my manners? I completely forgot to introduce you to my dog, Sparky.
Exactly. It adds a touch of lightness and self-awareness to the situation. Now, behave yourself is a bit more direct, typically used to admonish someone who's acting out of line.
It's about setting boundaries and reinforcing social norms.
Right.
Right. It's often used with kids.
Yeah,
But I can imagine it being used playfully with adults, too.
definitely. It's all about tone and context.
Right.
You wouldn't use it with your boss, but you might use it with a close friend who's being a bit too rowdy.
It's like a playful scolding. Okay. We've talked about navigating tricky situations, expressing feelings, and even social graces. What about those phrases that are all about getting things done, asking for help, and offering assistance?
These are essential for collaboration and building strong relationships. Think about phrases like, "Can I get a ride? Can you give me a hand? And let me know if you need anything." These are simple requests, but they rely on a shared understanding of social reciprocity.
Can I get a ride? Is straightforward.
Right.
But it also implies trust and a willingness to rely on someone.
Exactly. And "can you give me a hand?" can be about practical help, like moving furniture, but also about needing support with a more abstract task. It's an invitation to collaborate.
And let me know if you need anything. It's such a beautiful way to offer support without being overbearing.
It is.
It creates a space for the other person to ask for help if they need it, which can be incredibly comforting.
It signals that you're available and willing to help, strengthening the bonds of friendship or even professional relationship. It's about building a network of support.
This is making me realize how much we take these phrases for granted. They're not just words. They're tools for connection negotiation and navigating the complexities of human interaction.
They are. And what's even more fascinating is that these phrases aren't static.
Oh.
Language is constantly evolving. New expressions emerge. Old ones take on new meanings.
Wait, so you're telling me that this video with its 800 phrases is just a snapshot in time?
Exactly.
There are even more out there, maybe even some being invented right now.
Exactly. Language is a living, breathing thing, shaped by the people who use it. And as our world changes, so too. Well, the phrases we use to describe it isn't that exciting.
It is. It's like we're just scratching the surface of this linguistic iceberg.
Yeah.
Okay, we've covered so much ground in this part of our deep dive.
We have.
But I have a feeling we're not done yet. There's still so much to explore, right?
You're absolutely right. In our final part, we'll delve into even more intriguing phrases, uncovering their hidden layers, exploring their origins, and discussing how they reflect the ever-changing dynamics of our culture and society. So buckle up, the journey's not over yet.
Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive.
Yeah.
I have to say, exploring these everyday English phrases has been a real eye-opener.
It has been, hasn't it?
It's amazing how much we can pack into just a few words.
It's true. We've uncovered hidden histories, cultural nuances,
Right.
even psychological insights, all lurking beneath the surface of seemingly simple expressions.
And I'm ready for more. We've talked about actions, feelings, situations.
Right.
But what about those phrases that describe people? You know, those quick, almost shorthand ways to sum up someone's personality.
Those are fascinating because they often reveal underlying values and even stereotypes, whether we realize it or not.
Right.
Take, for instance, "she's a keeper," or "he's a real go-getter."
She's a keeper definitely has that traditional ring to it.
Yes.
Right? Like it's implying certain qualities that are prized in a partner.
Exactly. Loyalty, reliability, perhaps even domestic skills, depending on the context.
Yeah.
It's a phrase loaded with cultural baggage, even if it's intended as a compliment.
Right.
And "he's a real go-getter" often points to ambition, drive, a focus on achievement. Again, positive traits.
Yeah.
But they reflect a society that often places a high value on those qualities.
It's like these phrases offer a glimpse into the unspoken rules of social hierarchy, what's considered desirable or admirable.
Yeah.
But I have to ask, what about those less than polite phrases?
Oh, right.
You know, the ones that might slip out when you're frustrated?
Yeah.
Or the ones you only use with close friends?
Ah, yes. The more colorful side of language. The video includes some milder examples like this is crap, what a ripoff, or get a life.
Definitely not boardroom appropriate. But sometimes you need to vent.
You do.
I wonder if these phrases serve a purpose beyond just letting off steam.
They do. They create a sense of camaraderie, a shared understanding of frustrations.
Yeah.
It's like saying, I'm with you, I get it, this is annoying.
Right.
And sometimes a well-placed get a life can be a humorous way to dismiss something you find ridiculous.
Right. It's about connection, but also about using humor to navigate those everyday annoyances.
Exactly.
Okay, before we wrap up, this has been swirling in my mind. We've talked about how these phrases reflect our culture, but could it work the other way around? Could using certain phrases actually shape how we think or act?
That's a great question, and one that linguists and psychologists have been pondering for a long time.
Really?
There's a theory called linguistic relativity, also known as the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis, which suggests that the language we speak can actually influence how we perceive and think about the world.
So if we constantly use phrases like time is money,
right,
or the early bird gets the worm, could that actually make us more obsessed with efficiency and competition?
It's certainly possible. The idea is that by using these phrases, we're reinforcing certain values and mental frameworks. Of course, it's a complex issue with lots of factors at play.
Yeah.
But it's a fascinating area to explore.
Mind-blowing. It really makes you think about the power of language.
It does.
We've covered so much ground in this deep dive. It's amazing how much you can learn just by paying attention to the phrases we use every day.
It's been really fun.
It has.
And as we've seen, these phrases aren't just about communication.
Right.
They're windows into our culture, our values, even our psychology.
So here's a final thought for our listeners.
Yeah.
Pay attention to the phrases you use, what they reveal about your own perspective on the world. And are there any phrases you'd like to add to your repertoire? Maybe even invent a new one.
The beauty of language is that it's always evolving. So stay curious, have fun, and keep exploring.
Until next time, happy speaking.